right, and here she is in all her glory. We picked her up about a week ago, and it took about a week for us to realize the car would run just fine at high idle or driving. It just refuses to build oil pressure at idle. 99 times out of 100, the issue with these engines tends to be a $2 O-ring on the oil pickup tube. The tube that actually draws oil out of the sump at the bottom of your pan and actually supplies the oil pump with oil to help lubricate your engine. The worst part is that everything under here has to come out. We're gonna get started.
Now, with any in-depth engine work on the bottom of the car, it starts with the obligatory jack the vehicle up and secure it on jack stands. All right, next thing, we gotta take off the front wheels. It's gonna be quite hard to point something out to you guys if you can't see it. I'll be right back. And God said, let there be light. Damn it, I blind myself. I am just seeing what everyone's talking about. So it looks like the sway bar has to come off, and then there's the driver's side axle and the differential. Power steering rack. I'm so glad I didn't buy one of these as a donor vehicle, because all of this to get an engine out would have driven me nuts. Starting on the passenger side, we're taking out the capture bolt that holds the upper ball joint in place on the spindle. Then after this, we're going to move to the sway bar end link. That has to come off so the sway bar can be rotated out of the way. Next thing we're going to do is take off the ABS sensor brackets and brake line brackets to give us a little bit of slack for when we drop the suspension. And that's going to happen when we undo the strut bolts from the chassis member so that we can actually lower the suspension. We're not going to undo the control arms. We just need to be able to drop the suspension beyond where it currently sits to pull the axle out of the passenger side drive hub. And with the suspension allowed to droop as far as possible, it takes just a little bit of pressure with a pry bar and the axle is out of the drive hub.
Now, this side is free.
Now with the passenger side axle removed, first thing we got to do is take off the protective tray and then move on to the drive hub on the passenger side of the oil pan. This is this side of the axle. Then there's an axle that goes through. There's two bolts on the rear side of the unit and then one bolt on the front side. So now it should come free. There we go. Now, in order to have easier access to removing the drive hub out from the car, I'm gonna go ahead and take off this first cross member, and then there's another one that has to come out for the oil pan itself. Whether it was design choice or engineering, this thing is held in place with 14 different fasteners. 4 of them actually don't even face you, and that's where you have to look up behind the bracket itself, just underneath the transmission. It was those last 4 that gave me the biggest headache. And there we go. So now I'm curious as to what all those pieces of metal were. Whoa. Ah. During the disassembly process and dropping the front tray, I had a few metal pieces fall on me and I didn't realize where they were coming from. Hey Siri, turn on flashlight. At this point in the process, one of the next steps was to reach up and undo the front drive shaft from the front differential that connects to the center transfer box. Turns out I didn't have one, and I think I found the reason why. There's a chunk missing from my front diff. Good news, bad news update. We don't have to worry about taking out or moving the front drive shaft because there is no front drive shaft. We may not even have to drain the front differential because the front differential's in pieces anyways. So now, since at this point the differential had to come off anyways because it's bolted to both the block and the oil pan, the next step was to undo the suspension on the driver's side just like we did on the passenger side, so we could drop it to the side, pull the axle, and see what we're working with. We got this off, that off. Now we can get to the differential. I might have to brighten the image. Let me get my flashlight. At this point, I knew the differential was damaged in some way, but I had no idea how bad it was. There we go. Okay, so that differential. Oh! What? Definitely there's no fixing that without a new diff. Wow. Desperately fighting the while you were in there bug. We got to get back to work. Now the issue we're having is that the shaft that is supposed to be hard to get out from inside the pan is stuck in whatever drive module this is. So now I've got to knock it back the other way. The issue was that normally the drive shaft that passes through the oil pan sticks into the differential and the drive hub on the passenger side can be removed. But this time it was stuck in the drive hub, so I could not pull the drive hub itself. There we go. With the passenger side hub and the drive shaft that goes through the oil pan separated, I was able to move the drive hub up out of the way so I could pull the drive shaft out and then pull the drive hub away from the oil pan. This one survived, unlike the differential on the other side. So now I'm trying to get to the final bolt so that I can move the diff and we can get to the actual procedure of doing the oil pan gasket and the dip tube, the oil pickup tube. The final bolt that has been plaguing me is that one, I believe, right there, and that's where the drive shaft would have been plugged in if I had a drive shaft to mention. But since I don't, all I have to do is take off that final bolt. Here we go. It did take a lot of fiddling and moving back and forth to try and find a place where it wasn't resting on the oil pan and wouldn't fall and drop down on me. Now the plan was very simple. I was going to use my oil extractor to make the oil change itself, or draining the oil, a little bit easier, but it turns out that even with the thinnest tube I had for my oil extractor, I just couldn't get to the base of the actual sump itself. No matter what I did, I didn't get any oil up the tube. Our little oil thing didn't work, so I guess we're gonna have to do this the old-fashioned way. Wow. Okay, this is a sign that it was too tight. Wow. Oh, thought it was gonna come out with more momentum. Nothing says I'm bored like watching oil drip. I really think we are in laminar flow. Check that out. It's only when I... That is trippy. With the pan all drained, I could put the drain plug back in, and then the next thing was to remove the oil filter. And I had completely forgotten about the center punch trick to drain the oil filter, which would have made this a lot less messy. And now we can finally go and remove all of the bolts holding the pan to both the bell housing and the engine block. Now there is a cross member there in the middle of shot, which I should have taken out, and I will take out later, but for now I really made my life hard and left it in place. This isn't the steering rack holding me up, this is the cross member in the back. It is incredibly heavy. I was not expecting this at all. And you can see just all, this thing was leaking out the back. That explains why there's so much oil on the transmission. It looks bad, but it doesn't look terrible for 250,000 miles. I'll catch this up tomorrow so that way I can clean this out in the sunlight, because I don't have room to do it in my little tiny sink, and I want you guys to see like the transformation.
The next day.
And smile. Now there's not wanting to get your hands dirty and whatever you call what was on this oil pan. The hose would barely take off some of the lighter stuff. I went straight for the pressure washer, and even that was taking a lot of effort. At this point I said, screw it, let's go for the good old Moxie acid cleaner, and I just coated the oil pan in this stuff. The thing was, the layer that it had built up was so thick that the acid cleaner was never going to penetrate without some sort of agitation. So I grabbed a detail brush and a brush attachment for the drill and went to work. With the oil pan now as clean as it was going to get, it seemed rather fitting to take the drain plug off to drain the water from the oil pan. And then finally, the last thing, which my hand is blocking, is holding and drilling out the rivets that are on the factory oil pan gasket. There's one on the driver's side and one on the passenger side. I'm trying to hold it with a pair of pliers to keep it from spinning. Oh. And after a quick once over on the inside with acid cleaner and making sure that I didn't leave any brush, bristles, or anything behind, the pan was ready to go back inside. So here's where we stand. We've got the pan ready to go. So the next thing is, there is that cross member that's still in there. I did figure out how it comes out, and that's the thing that was holding us up. And once we take it out, we'll have complete access and we'll actually be able to go pretty much straight up with the oil pan. But before we do that, we've got to remember to get under there and do the most important thing, which is the oil pickup tube O-ring, the whole reason that we pulled this thing off. And there we go. That is the pickup tube loosened. And there we go. Let's take a look at this thing topside. Whoa. And there it is, the tiny part causing all of the problems. It's hard to believe that this little seal, shrinking just a tiny bit, turns your oil pickup tube into a broken straw and starts sucking air. And that is the culprit. So that little flat edge that it develops over time, that is the thing that allows air to seep past. And when you let it get bad enough, it just doesn't build oil pressure at idle, and that can cause you serious issues. There we go. So I'm just going to put it onto the ring itself. And there we go. Seated. With oil pan gasket ready to go, we can head underneath to test fit this thing and get this thing put back together. Just have to do this one step, which I neglected to do the first time around, and moving this cross member will make it much easier to get the oil pan back in its correct position. Yeah. So now we know it fits. With the test fit complete, it was time to refit the pickup tube with the most crucial part, its new seal. Once I had a bolt on front and back, it was smooth sailing and I could go bolt by bolt, replace everything, and we were getting closer and closer to getting this oil pan back on. And when I say it was all hands on deck to get the job done, I really do mean all hands. When I say hands, I mean paws too. I love you too. Bro. Puppy interruptions aside, we were closing in on the final steps to be able to test fire this thing and see if we solved our oil pressure problem. Let's get the oil filter on and start this puppy. And our last and final step before startup is to make sure that this engine actually has oil in it. It takes 530 and we're going with fully synthetic. Everything is out of the way of the pulleys. Actually, I lied. I forgot one more thing. All we gotta do is hook up the battery and or something. Oil on it. Especially when it's all over my head and everything. We should probably open the garage a tiny bit to keep ourselves from asphyxiating. Right there. Technically, I don't even have to get in the car. Ooh. Here we go. This is the gauge we're looking at. Give me a second. I have just realized the car was in neutral. So oil pressure is back, and I'm gonna call that fixed. Engine is healthy again, oil pressure is restored, and the idle sounds way better than it ever did. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming future videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Alfred for Crooked Mustache, and we'll see you next time. Dale, stay crooked.